What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. I hope you had a great start to your Saturday and are looking forward to the rest of the weekend, guys. First of all, I would like to apologize for not posting lately. I checked my channel. It's been a total of 3 weeks since I last posted. I had exams a couple weeks ago and then started the next semester or the new semester this past week. So it's been pretty busy. I hope your guys' exams went well for those who did have them. But now let's start talking about the best sports league in the world, the National Hockey League. I've got a trade deadline preview for you guys right now. I'm hoping to stay home on trade deadline day. We'll see if that happens, if I don't have any tests that day. If I don't, I will start posting maybe just some live videos on Instagram. I know I don't have that many followers, but make sure you guys go check out my Instagram. I'll try to leave a link down in the description. We got a lot to talk about today, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Alright, let's start with the top 5 sellers. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. The top 5 sellers, starting with the Detroit Red Wings. So the Red Wings have been a seller for the past couple years now. And this year is not going to be any different. They have a couple of good wingers on the market right now. Thomas Vanek will definitely be available, and he's been available for the past maybe five trade deadlines. I think he's been traded or something crazy like that. He was traded last trade deadline from the Canucks onto the Blue Jackets, then signed with the Red Wings this season, and will almost 99% get traded again at the deadline. There's a couple teams that are interested in a winger like Vanek. He can maybe he can play on the second line or second line power play, but most likely he'll fit in on the third line. Maybe not as fast as he once was, but he could still get the job done. They also have Gustav Nyquist, so I think if the Red Wings are trading a guy like Nyquist, they're hoping to get the same the value as they got for Thomas Tatar, which was a first, a second, and a third when he went off to Vegas. So I think Gustav Nyquist will definitely be on the market. I don't know what the teams are willing to pay for Nyquist. Ken Holland will try to get the best offer that he can obviously take. He will take it. On to the Los Angeles Kings. Now, Ilya Kovalchuk is the main reason I put the Kings as a seller right now. They said they're going to be looking to trade him at the deadline. Now, I'm just going to tell Kovalchuk, he's not going to be watching this video, obviously, but it was a pretty stupid move to sign with the Los Angeles Kings in the offseason. He had a lot of better offers. He wanted to go to a cup contending team, and instead the Kings are sitting bottom 5 in the National Hockey League. So Kovalchuk is definitely on the market. I think like the teams like the Bruins could be interested in Kovalchuk. He's had a pretty good season with the Kings, especially since the Kings are a bottom feeder team right now. So he should, maybe the Kings can get a first round pick for him. We will see. On to the Ottawa Senators. Now, the Senators, they do have some good youth right now. Chabot, Tkachuk, Lajoie. They do have some good young players, but they don't have a first-round pick this year, which is just terrible. 31st in the National Hockey League right now. The Avalanche are, I guess they're looking forward to the draft, as they most likely are going to be able to get Jack Hughes if the Senators stay 31st. They have a couple players that could be on the block. I have 2 of them on the trade bait list. We'll talk about those players later. But even a guy like Cody Ceci, they'll be looking to trade him for at least a second-round pick. So the Senators do have some options, some lower options, and then some really high options that they can get a big return for. On to the New York Rangers, one of the biggest sellers along with the Ottawa Senators. They have a whole bunch of players. One that's on the list here at number 3, Matt Zuccarello for me. They've got Zuccarello, Hayes. Apparently Brady Shea could be on the block as well for the Rangers. A lot of players that the Rangers could be looking to move at the deadline, and I think they will get a deal done, whether it's Zuccarello, even Chris Kreider. I think they'll look to get at least a first-round pick for those players. I was actually watching Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night headlines last week, and a lot of the panel was saying that the starter for all of these major trades is the first-round pick. If you're not willing to give up a first-round pick, they're not going to look to trade him to your team. So teams will definitely be offering first-round picks here and there. The last team that we have for sellers, the New Jersey Devils. Now, the Devils are 30th in the National Hockey League, only second last to the Ottawa Senators, so it's not been a great year. Brian Boyle has already been traded for a second-round pick, which was a pretty good return for a fourth-line setter. So Boyle went off to the Predators. They brought in a second-round pick. I think the Devils are not done there. I don't know how many other players, like big-name players, they have to trade, but they'll definitely try their best to at least keep on stockpiling those later round picks. On to the top 5 buyers. Now, there's a couple of different teams in here. I could have had the San Jose Sharks. I could have had a whole bunch of different teams, but I wanted to kind of change it up with a team like the Edmonton Oilers. We'll get to that team in a second. Let's start with the Boston Bruins. Now, the Bruins, after the Toronto Maple Leafs made that trade for Jake Muzzin. Before we get into that, I want to talk about that quick. That was a good trade for both teams, in my opinion. The Leafs needed a defenseman like Jake Muzzin, and I think the Kings got a good return with Sean Durzi, which will be a great prospect for the Kings, and a first-round pick, which I was just talking about. So, Los Angeles Kings got a good return for the future. They were a seller. They already got rid of Muzzin, and the Leafs got a good, solid top 4 defenseman in Jake Muzzin. Back to the Boston Bruins, talking about that trade, they do relate. The Bruins definitely want to compete with their divisional rival because they might still play them in the first round. So instead of looking for a defenseman, the Bruins are looking for a top 6 winger, particularly one that can play with Krejci and DeBrusk. I'm thinking like a Zuccarello, Kreider, Kovalchuk, like I was talking about. One of those players will definitely fit the team very well. And Wayne Simmons, who's number 2 on the trade bait list. Talk about them later, and if he's still on the market as well. But I think the Bruins are looking for that top 6 winger, and I think they are going to be able to get it this trade deadline. On to the Edmonton Oilers. So the Oilers are just outside a playoff spot right now, and so you say maybe they shouldn't be a buyer or a seller, but the team definitely wants to make the playoffs this year. Apparently, their first-round picks on the block, along with Jesse Puljujarvi, who just really hasn't been able to get the opportunity with the Oilers. So Puljujarvi could be on the block. But the Edmonton Oilers, I think they're looking for a winger that can play particularly with Connor McDavid, but they do need help in a lot of areas. So I think if they can't get a major deal done, they're not going to be giving up their first-round pick. On to the Calgary Flames, the Flames number 2 in the National Hockey League. Congrats to all those Flames fans for sticking with the team. They've had an unbelievable season this year. So you got to be happy with the Calgary Flames. I think they're just looking maybe even to acquire their former teammate Michael Furland, who's had a great year with the Carolina Hurricanes, who I do not have as a seller. The Flames could be interested in picking up another winger to go along with that top line of Lindholm, Gaudreau, Monahan. They can throw him on the second line, get some secondary scoring, just like the Bruins need. On to the Nashville Predators. I don't think they're done quite yet. They picked up Brian Boyle from the New Jersey Devils, like I said, for a second. I don't think they're done. They could look still for some depth on the offensive side of the puck. So they'll definitely look for some depth in that position. And finally, the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets sitting number 3 in the league right now, just behind the Calgary Flames. I think they could be looking in for a guy like Derek Brassard. There have been some links with him going to the Jets. He'll fit him perfectly with the third-line center position. The Florida Panthers acquired him from the Pittsburgh Penguins and are looking to flip him to another team. So they could flip it to the Winnipeg Jets, which would be a great trade for both teams, I think anyways. So there's my top 5 buyers and my top 5 sellers. Leave a comment down below if you think I missed a team on this list, or any players that you think your team will try to trade for, a trade before the deadline. On to the trade bait list. We'll start from number 5 and move our way up. There's a lot of names on the market right now. I tried to put the bigger names up. I didn't want to put up like a guy like Brian Boyle, who just got traded at number 1, because it's about to happen. I wanted to maybe make it pretty interesting, put the top 5 players right here. Let's start with number 5, Mark Stone. Ottawa Senators, I have them as a seller. They have some pretty big names in the market, starting with this guy, winger Mark Stone. He's having a great year on the Senators right now. Apparently, the price for him and his teammate Matt Duchene is a first-round pick. Like I said, that's the starter of all trades. First-round pick, an A-list prospect, and still a solid winger in the NHL. So that is a big price for Mark Stone, but I think it's worth it. If you think you have a shot at the cup, why not pay for it? I think it could be worth it. I don't think a team like the Bruins would be interested, but maybe a team a bit battling for playoffs like the Edmonton Oilers could definitely be interested in a guy like Mark Stone. Same thing goes for Matt Duchene. Duchene will look for the same package as Stone. First-round pick, A-list prospect, solid winger in the NHL. That is the starting point for a player like Stone and Duchene. Duchene might, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to be getting traded. They're in contract negotiations for a long-term deal, 8 years. But there is still that possibility, and apparently it's a high possibility that he could be traded. So there will be a lot of teams calling the Ottawa Senators for a player like Matt Duchene. On to the Matt Zuccarello of the New York Rangers. This guy, I think, is you can just pack your bags already. I think he's gone. Zuccarello will fit perfectly with a team like the Bruins, Oilers. I think these two guys will be very active at the deadline for sure, especially for a winger. Matt Zuccarello has had a great year with the Rangers, especially in the last 20 games. He's really come on, increased his stock. Rangers fans and Rangers management must be happy with the play. I think they're going to get a very good return for Zuccarello. On to Wayne Simmons of the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, up until maybe a couple days ago, I was going to have the Flyers as a major seller, but apparently I think they've won 8 straight games now, which is unbelievable. I still think Wayne Simmons will be on the block, but if they don't, I think now they don't even have to move him. If they get the right deal, they will move him, but I don't think they feel the same pressure that they need to move a guy like Wayne Simmons now that they are on a roll with goaltender Carter Hart. So Simmons still could be moved. I think if teams offer the right price, the Bruins, again, I'm talking about these two teams a lot, they'll try to offer for Simmons, but if the Flyers don't feel like they have, like it's the right package, what they want, they don't have to move him. So Simmons might have been even number 1 a couple days ago, but I had to drop him down. On to number 1, it's Artemi Panarin, the big fish in the trade market right now, and I think this guy is gone for sure at the deadline. A couple of days ago, he had a press conference about the contract negotiations and does not look good for the Blue Jackets. He said that he'll definitely want to test the free agent market. When asked if the Blue Jackets still have a chance to sign him, he said there's still a chance, but you only get to go to the free agent market really once in your NHL career, and he wants to test it for sure. So I think if you're Kekalainen, GM of the Blue Jackets, you're pretty dumb if you don't trade this guy at the deadline, especially after what you saw with John Tavares last season. So I think Panarin is gone with the Blue Jackets. I don't know. There's only a couple teams, I think, in the league that are willing to give up a package for Panarin, but I think they will, especially with the player that Panarin is. So there is the board. We're finished now. Let me know if I missed any players or any teams in the comment section below. I'll have another part 2 a couple of days before the deadline. We'll see if any of these teams and any of these players do make moves or get moved at the deadline. That's going to be it for the episode, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. We'll see you guys in the next episode.